toilet. What's going on? You could probably hear that toilet flushing in the background, but that wasn't me. Yeah! It wasn't even a sound effect. Yeah. Well, I am having early shows when the Blazers play, so I can at least watch them in peace. Alright. So last night I came back on the air, and then at the end of the show I forgot to hit the stop streaming button. So the last 15 minutes or so are me listening to a Blazer game wrap up, and then I actually was looking at this surveillance video of a crime where the guy actually is seen dragging the body just out on the street in the middle of the day. And I can't remember what else was on there, but yeah. I'm glad I wasn't looking at porn or something, man. Wow, that'd have been pretty embarrassing. So I'm not gonna do the last what do you call it? You know, the outro that I have. I'm just gonna go straight to hitting the button to end the stream like I used to do, because I've almost done that a few other times, and I don't really want to do that. And one of the freaks, actually, I think Sarah is her name, called me up on Skype, like Raven does, and said, "Hey, you're still streaming." Yeah, my vent just pumped air into my face, and almost immediately I just start sneezing and coughing. Oh, vanilla or beige? Nah, I called her what I wanted to call her, Illiterate Ink. How about you call yourself something different than Illiterate Ink? Because it really sounds dumb. Alright, so here we go. We're going to go switch over to the... I'll get Google Earth up on the screen. We got cases out of Ohio. I haven't heard of any of them. I've seen one of the pictures before, but I haven't heard of these. They're, you know, Mahalovic isn't one of the ones that I pick because I've covered her before. So, here we go. Oh wow, what's going on with that? Excuse me, I gotta fix something on the screen here. Not sure what's going on. There we go. Yeah, it's weird. Something happened to the... like there's a frame that goes around my scene, but it got... it resized itself so it doesn't fit. So it looks weird. Alright, there we go. Alright, so the first case we'll do will be Annette Lawrence. See, there isn't really a lot of stuff on any of these, really. The one that had the most was one near the end that I was going to look at. The Kathy Menendez one. Because there's actually another case that could be associated with that one that's in there. And then there was a special on a TV station that we could go in and review it. It's a year old. So it's actually 20 minutes long, which is unusual for one of those specials, but could be interesting. Alright, so here is one of them. Now this one here actually might be related to another case too. So this is 1982, Cleveland Heights, December 23rd, 1982. Man, my Blue and Chloe make a lot of noise now. A lot of noise going on. A lot of flapping. All right. So on December 23rd, 1982, the body of Annette Lawrence was discovered in the trunk of her car in the parking lot of Severance Center. And, you know, to be honest with you, this really has so little information. It's pretty ridiculous. I actually think this is one of those cases where it's a race. It's related to race. I really do. It just seems so... let me get to that area. I mean, if it was a white school teacher whose body was found in the trunk of a vehicle, I think you'd have an article on it. Man, 3 different papers all over the place every single day. And for some reason, this didn't have that. And I think that's reality. You know, stuff isn't always... we talk about, you know, a lot of times people think certain crimes are caused by race, and a lot of times I just go, that's just bullshit. You know, it's used all the time by everybody. They want to inject race into it. But I think there really is a real thing about race and coverage. And I might not have thought that a few years ago, but when I do the research that I do on different cases, you can see that there's a wild difference. And also, it matters too if you're a sort of like a runaway type, regardless of race, or, you know, if it's a demographic that isn't really thought of, you know. I don't know. It's crazy, though. Anyways, let's just go through this. This is one. The body of a 32-year-old Euclid woman, Annette Lawrence, has been found in the, and it meant to say trunk, not the truck of her car. The trunk of her car, Cleveland Heights police said today. Miss Lawrence, an East Cleveland elementary school teacher, was last seen Tuesday when she left home to go shopping. Her car was parked at a shopping center, and that shopping center is the same one that was mentioned in the Crime Stoppers article, which is the, what was it called? Severance Center. And so let's just go to that. So here's Severance Center. And I did make there's another case also where a body was found at Severance Center. And so that's in around the same time frame. So it's possible that they're related somehow. I mean, what are the odds of that? Right, so this is Severance Center. It's like one of those big shopping malls, you know, it probably has J.C. Penney's, all kinds of things like that. Stores. Let me get to back to the article. So Miss Lawrence, an East Cleveland elementary school teacher, last seen Tuesday when she left home to go shopping at that mall. Her car was parked at the shopping center. So it appears that she may have actually made it to the parking, you know, the actual, the mall, and her car was parked. The Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office said Miss Lawrence had been shot 3 times. Authorities said they did not know where the woman was killed. So apparently it looks like they don't believe she was killed in the vehicle, or they wouldn't have made that comment. So that means she probably was killed, her heart quit pumping, and the blood amount that was in the trunk didn't match if she had been shot in the trunk. So that would make you think that it's maybe I wonder if she actually did complete shopping, although you would think that would have been really obvious because people go into a lot of stores and somebody would said, oh yeah, she was here. So it could have been that just as she pulled into the parking lot, somebody abducted her in her own vehicle, much like that Anaya Blanchard case, drove her somewhere else, killed her, then brought her back to the parking area because that's where his car was before taking her. Right? So he was probably waiting for somebody to park in an area that he felt comfortable abducting somebody. And this is the next article. This is it. This is all I could find. Slain woman was a Newark native. A 32-year-old woman found murdered in Cleveland Heights December 24th was a former Newark resident and 1968 graduate of Newark High School. Annette Lawrence, an elementary teacher in the Euclid School District, was the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Calvin Scott of 380 Woods Avenue. Police found her body in the trunk of her car at the Cleveland Heights shopping mall on Christmas Eve. Mrs. Lawrence had been shot 3 times. She was buried in the Cedar Hill Cemetery today following the funeral services at the Trinity AME Church. So that's it. I mean, so don't you think there's a disparity right there? I don't think she's not a prostitute. Nah, there's no way in hell. You guys aren't actually saying that, are you? That she's a prostitute? Yeah, she's a teacher. Okay? Yeah, she went to the mall to shop for Christmas. She was killed on Christmas Eve. I'm just reading some of the comments in here. Yeah, I mean, it seems like something. Well, we don't know if somebody wanted her dead, like in terms of, oh, wow, I hate her. It could just be a killer type. And we don't know what was it somebody just waiting for her at the mall? Did she have a disgruntled boyfriend that maybe she just broke up with or something like that? It seems like it would have been pretty obvious to find an answer for that, but a lot of people won't talk in a case like that. Yeah, there's really almost no information on this. I couldn't even find anything. Let's see. Even on Google, typing in her name and murder, you don't get an answer. Nothing shows up. So the whole thing makes me angry that there's so little coverage of it. So this is one that's it. Okay, however, the next case that there might be more information out somewhere on some, deep web sleuth post somewhere. A family member may have came on. I don't really have time to go do that when I put these together. I use newspapers.com and a lot of, just the law enforcement posts on it and things like that. Okay, so if somebody has some crazy, oh wow, no, you didn't, okay, this is what the reality of it is. I don't have that, all right? So what I'm just telling you is, in this case, we have a teacher named Annette Lawrence, who literally was just going to go shopping for Christmas on Christmas Eve at a shopping mall, and her car is there, and then inside the trunk was her body shot 3 times. And it's a cold case, and it's from 1982. And right around, like I said, December 24th, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to Sonya Green. So Sonya Green is also in the same area here. So let me see if I can pull up the original articles on this. I think this might, let me see what this one is. Okay, yeah, so there's two articles that I found right around that time. Police probe East Cleveland girl's death. Police are investigating the apparent murder of a 14-year-old East Cleveland girl whose partially clad body was discovered beneath a pile of snow. Oh, by the way, I want to pause here. I got an email from just an absolute rodeo clown who was listening to my show, and he heard me last night when I say, yeah, I get more emotional or worked up when it's a female or children. And he said, how dare you? Imagine a detective saying, oh boy. I guarantee it, everybody, that detectives and law enforcement people probably have a little bit more motivation and soft spot for females and children who are murdered by barbarians than they do a guy. That's just sort of a natural thing. Does it mean you work less hard on those? No, it doesn't, you idiot. Okay? So the thing is when I look at both of them, I mean, every single time I look into something, I try to find as much information as I can. All right? So you don't need to send me emails because I'm not going to be any different. I just told you what I think, how I feel, and that's just the truth of it. And I think a lot of people feel exactly the same way. All right? So don't waste your time. Okay, this person was obviously from England because they use terms from over there like sod off or, SOD, it was crazy. So don't waste your time sending me emails trying to tell me how to do a better show because I won't be listening to you specifically. All right, thank you. Okay, Cleveland Heights Police Chief Martin Lentz identified the victim of Sonya Green as Sonya Green. He said she was last seen alive Wednesday morning as she left her home for Kirk Junior High School. We do know from the preliminary report from the coroner that the probable cause of death is asphyxiation or strangulation. We know from interviews with her parents that she left at 8:10 a.m. to go to school. See, it's weird to have a teacher and a student. Well, I mean, any kid's going to be a student, but a teacher and a student both killed, and they're both found right near or in the parking lot of that same mall around the same time. This one is December 17th. Okay, so think about that. December 17th, you find two bodies in the same mall within a week. Hey, thank you very much, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. The longest name in YouTube history. That's right, I'm so mean. Well, I was just called so mean, so I guess that means that the show halts and I get sent to my so mean prison. Thanks a lot. Oh boy.
101 You're so mean face with tears of joy face with monocle.
With monocle, all right. Beaver, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub.
Gray is the
Crystal.
most awesome. He is just perfect. Type 1 if you agree.
Perfect? Oh, come on. How about this? If you don't think I'm perfect, but you just like the show, okay? Definitely not perfect. I'll say that. Wow, it's weird. When you're in the jail here, you get the outline of the green screen on you. Let's see. We do know from preliminary report from the coroner that the probable cause of death are asphyxiation and strangulation. She left at 8:10 a.m. to go to school. She never arrived at school. Lentz said she may have been murdered at another location and then brought to the lot. See, isn't that weird? You have another situation where they were murdered elsewhere and then dumped at that mall right near the parking lot. Don't you think that's crazy? Well, I snuck this in, Yeah. Well, actually, one of you guys sent money in so I could buy food while I was in the jail, so I bought it. Yeah, the FBI gave me Gatorade? Wow. Now, here's one of the things in this news article that we can watch. The detective was walking around in this area talking to the reporter, and I was looking at this and I was having a hard time finding it. But then what I saw, to be able, well, you can't see it yet. Oh, shoot, I'm still in jail. Oh, darn it. Oh, well, I guess we'll have to wait. You have a key? All right. Is that a file in the Gatorade bottle? Nope, not a damn thing. Not a damn thing in there. Oh yeah, that's right. Like I'm a Oregon State Beaver. Almost made a bowl game this year, but lost the last 2 games in heartbreaking manner both times. It was unbelievable, especially the Washington State game. Nuts. Nope, Kit Kat money. That's enough to buy another bottle of Gatorade, or perhaps even a Kit Kat at the commissary. What I'll do is I'll make that. They only gave me a $20 bail amount, so $2 is easily enough, right? Okay.
Kit Kat money, winking face, grinning face with smiling eyes.
Yeah. So here you go. This is the shot that I saw on the news here. I think it's in this article here. Oh, there you go. We'll combine that together. All right, to pay the guards to fall asleep. Thanks, Renee.
Money bag to pay the guards to fall asleep.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll slip something into the Kit Kat bar and then pretend, oh, you know what, I've had too many of these, which I probably have, and give them to each of the guards. But where would I get the thing that I put in the Kit Kat bar? That's the key. Oh, thanks, Linda Howell. There you go. Now I have bail money for the next time. Well, it depends on the bail amount, though. That would matter. So let's take a look at this article where it says, for more than 3 decades, Cleveland Heights detectives... Oh, wait, hold on. Linda Howell, Renee Folk, and Kit Kat, and Cairo. Yeah, there are some really ruthless bounty hunters out there.
Yeah. Money heart.
That's right. One that's trying to get a drone. Yeah, exactly. Boy, they do good work. Real serious stuff there. Yeah, that is what happened. Yeah, I hope so too.
You better not abscond from bail. I hear they're a pretty ruthless bounty hunter that operates in all states. Lol, he might even have a drone.
You guys are hilarious. Well, at least you make me laugh too, okay? I know I make you guys laugh a lot of times, and you guys make me laugh. Even during dark topics. Okay, let me get back to this. So... this is the case of Sonya Green, and she was found in the parking lot area, and I was actually able to find the location that detective was at, and it's weird how much quicker I can do stuff like that now than I could before. For more than 3 decades, Cleveland Heights detectives have been working to find the killer or killers responsible for murdering a young girl in East Cleveland and an East Cleveland school teacher. So they're even kind of connecting them back then. Detectives have now teamed up with Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County in hopes of solving both cases. You are talking about 2 young women, both found within 1 week of each other. Both suffered a violent death and both deserve justice. The body of 14-year-old Sonya Green was found behind Severance Center on December 15, 1982. She was last seen alive walking to school near her East Cleveland home. I was angry for a long time, said Green's father, Jeremy. I want justice for her. And Richard McIntosh, a retired Cleveland detective, who is now with Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County, agrees. There is no reason for a young child like this to be brutally assaulted and murdered and left to die in a snowbank. We need to get this resolved. It was December 23rd, 1982, said Bill Jelinek of Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County. This is regarding a week after Green was found, the body of Annette Lawrence was found inside the trunk of her car behind Severance Center. Well, this says the 23rd, which that doesn't sound, the next day would be New Year's Eve. Police say they do not have DNA and other evidence that was collected at the scene. You've got to have DNA in the other case. I don't know. How could you not? Cleveland Heights detectives Mike Reese says he's hoping with information will call, someone with information will call the police. You know, I mean, didn't you test for anything with these two victims? I mean, how come they don't have anything like that? Hey, Alley Cat, what's up? I haven't seen you in a long time. So let's play this.
Hey, Detective Billy.
For more than 3 decades, Cleveland Heights detectives have been working to find the killer or killers
only on the left side, so if
responsible
you
for
can't hear
murdering
it.
a young girl and an East Cleveland school teacher.
Now it's
You're
on
talking
both.
two young women,
stereo, huh?
both found within 1 week of each other. Both suffered a violent death, and both deserve justice.
Little girl was kidnapped.
The body of 14-year-old Sonya Green was found behind Severance Center on December. The body of
Yeah, so here's the shot. I'll just put the screenshot that I have up here. Anyways, I was looking at that tower there, and that's how I found the location. And then as soon as I saw the tower, I went, boom, there it is. So I was looking around. Let's get the 3D version on. So it looked like this. And then I saw this tower here. And then as soon as I saw that tower, I could tell that there's that green divider, this parking lot, that parking lot, the divider, the white building. And if you go back to the picture, you can see the white building there, the tower, this parking lot, the green divider, and then the other parking spot right over there. And they're standing, and in another part of the interview, they're pointing out there. So it sounds like her body was put back in, in the bushes back here.
14-year-old Sonya Green was found behind Severance Center on December 15th, 1982.
There is no reason for a young child like this to have been brutally assaulted and murdered and left to die in the snowbank without somebody deciding that they need to let the police know what happened so this case can be resolved.
A week later, on December 23rd, the body of Annette Lawrence was found.
She was found here at Severance Mall back in 1982 in the trunk of her car after being reported missing.
Anything is going to help, no matter how small.
The chief is hoping the public can help catch the killers.
We believe that someone out there somewhere knows something about this case, and we'd like them to come forward with any information they have.
And the chief added that evidence collected at the scene can help.
DNA evidence is the one thing that would definitely link a suspect to this case.
Right,
Cleveland
so that means
Heights
you have
Detective
DNA,
Mike
right?
Reese and officials from Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County
Put it
are
through
working
Parabon.
together to solve.
See, that's the thing, is if they have DNA, put it through Parabon. Hey, thanks, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming sub Crystal. Am I still in prison? Or that just take a long time? Yeah, how much are you lagging there, Crystal? I was just wondering about that. You might want to hit the refresh button.
Free Gray.
But thank you. I'll take that. I'll have that in my bank account for the next time. Oh, really? Try refreshing, Crystal. Give that a whirl. Like load the video back up again. And what you can also do, people, is oh shit, how come that, see, everything's off on here. See how the frame is messed up like that? Yeah, you can actually load in a lower res video if you're in a place where you don't have a very good connection. Just load up. There's the cog wheel down at the bottom, I think it is. You can pick a different resolution, and by people I mean freaks. All right. Yeah, so go down there and just pick a different resolution, and you should have a better time. Yeah, like don't pick 720, pick 480. You know, if you're really more interested in what we're talking about and what we're looking at isn't quite as a big deal to you, then that's an option if you're using a cell phone. Oh, really? Weird. Do you use your phone, Crystal, or?
Of the two cases.
Searching for any lead that we can get.
A reward of up to $10,000 is being offered for information leading to the arrest and indictment of those responsible for the murders.
We just want some justice.
I always look up Cheryl Coker every once in a while, see if there's anything new.
And family members of.
And you're right, Cheryl Coker still matters.
Hashtag Cheryl Coker still matters, red heart.
Sounds like they know who did it, they just can't prove it yet.
The victims want answers soon.
We owe it to our sister.
I think the key is the girlfriend.
To get this out to the public.
She knows.
And it's been over 34 years.
Green's father believes it's time for justice to be served.
The devil's at work. Evil is out here. And facing it, I think, would help eliminate a lot of things.
Greensboro police are investigating a...
Okay, so those are those two cases. They seem like they could possibly be related, just based on the location and part of that they were killed somewhere else and then dumped there within a week of each other. Could have been that somebody heard that a body was there before. I don't know. It's just really weird. Seems like it'd be really stupid for one killer to leave a body at the same place. Although they do that in the woods, but at a mall, man, that's nuts. Okay, so now we're moving on to another case. Hold on one second. What happened to the music? It disappeared. There we go. I'm just going to put completed ones in a different folder. Alright. Ah, man, it just drives me nuts how slow stuff is sometimes. Okay, the next one will be that we're going to go over is going to be Brandon Cartelloni. Or actually, let me do Jameelah Hasan first. And there was nothing in newspapers.com whatsoever about her. And again, you'll probably notice that she's black too, and there was just, I didn't find one article whatsoever written in the newspaper. So this one might be, it's going to be pretty short because there's not a ton of information about it. Jameelah Hasan was found stabbed to death in her Cleveland home in December of 2012. So far, police have been unable to identify her killer. Alright, so this is 2012. And let's see if we can find her in here. Alright, so Cleveland, Jameelah Hasan family is tired of Jameelah being an unsolved murder statistic in Cleveland. And this one is from 2012, December 17th. It's been almost 6 years since the 37-year-old was found dead on the east side and still no answers. She had been stabbed 11 to 15 times. Mother Alicia Hassan explains the news she got on December 18th, 2012. 68 months, she says. That is by mom's count, who is still waiting for closure in a case that's gone cold. So as the weeks went on, then it was months, now it's been 5.5 years. Hassan says the short version goes like this. The first Cleveland homicide detective assigned to Jameelah's case retired. The second detective was reassigned. Yet another detective was assigned in February. Hassan says and this article date is August 2018, so just last year. Understandably for the mom, word of Cleveland police beefing up the homicide unit sounded like an excellent idea. She doesn't exist in a file on someone's desk. She was a person, a mom, an aunt, a daughter, Hassan says. The plan from CPD is to temporarily tap 5 seasoned investigators from other parts of the city to help out in homicide. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the facts of the case here. I'm not sure it even has any, other than that she was stabbed up at the top there. She was just stabbed in her home, basically, and there isn't really any leads that we know of. It's not in the newspaper or anything like that. Very little information. I mean, go try to look it up. There's nothing. It's crazy. I mean, don't you find that strange that there's so little information on a case like this? And yeah, I mean, look how frustrating that is for the mom. It's only been 5.5 years, and now they're on the third detective. So what's going to, normally you have detectives that are really committed to a case, and they just keep working at it, and it nags at them for years and years. And in this case, that's not how it went. They're on their third one. They're probably not really motivated to get onto that case. Yeah. So that's really all there is on that one. But I thought I'd just put it out there because it's an unsolved case in Ohio and nobody's talking about it whatsoever. Unfortunately, the only way people can talk about a case is if there's a lot of information that's put out about it. So I think law enforcement agencies and detectives, and if they're working on cold cases and unsolved homicides, they should put out as much information as they can about the case, put it on social media, and allow people to want to cover it. I mean, I'm covering it right now, but there's absolutely no information on it. It's crazy. So, let me see. Let me find the folder now. Her mother seems to be out doing a lot of stuff on it, though. Let's see.
A rally this evening on Cleveland's east side calling for answers in the deaths of 4 women.
See, this is interesting here, though, is her death, it's possible that it's part of there's 4 other women. See, Jameelah Hasan, Jasmine Trotter, Christine Malone, and Ashley Lisyiski. And 20 years old, 21, 45, 37, so a variety of ages, but they're all off of 93rd Street.
Jamila Hassan, Jasmine Trotter, Christine Malone, Ashley Laziski, and 14-year-old Aliana DeFries were all murdered within 2 miles of each other along East 93rd Street. Aliana's killer behind bars. However, the other 4 murders remain unsolved. The body of Shanna Johnson's mother was found in a field 6 years ago, and her family is calling on city leaders to help solve the case and provide support. Of Shanna Johnson's bars. However, the other 4 murders remain unsolved. The body of Shanna Johnson's mother was found in a field 6 years ago, and her family is calling on city leaders to help solve the case and provide support.
My message to the city would be, where is the mayor? The mayor has not came out to any of these rallies that we have had. We have not seen him. We have not seen any of the politics out here to come out here and support any of the families. Where y'all at? Y'all say y'all here to save our streets, but I don't see y'all saving our streets at all. We want justice, justice for all the black women and children that were killed out here on these streets, no matter the color, the race, or anything. We want justice.
Yeah. Was found stabbed to death in her home on Manor Avenue in Cleveland. So these are all people killed right around the same area. So I thought maybe I would look into that at on a different time. Now, one of those was solved, and they don't think that person's connected to the other ones. Maybe that's just a particularly violent street. I don't know. So there she is right there. That looks like maybe a picture of her when she was younger. Yep, my stomach's making all kinds of noises. Every time I pound down some Gatorade, you get the gurgling. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It almost looked like my high school years in the 80s. And I think that sort of makes sense. 37. Yeah, she'd probably, that was more like 90s probably. I wish I could say I was 37. Not anymore. Alright, I'm moving on to the next one. This next one will be Brandon Cartelloni. I think that's how you say his name. And he was an art student in I think he went to like the Cleveland Institute of Art, and I went to the Portland Art Institute for a couple of years, so I think it's the same sort of franchise, whatever the hell you want to call it. But and I couldn't find anything in the newspapers.com on this case, and I don't know why either. It could just be it's newer, and a lot of times stories are all online now, not in the paper. So here it is. Let me show you a picture of the guy though. Right here. Alright, that's one picture. I'm not sure why it opened up Photoshop. Normally it's a little quicker than that. And that's him at the, looks like he created that drawing right there. And he looked like he was a pretty good artist if you go to his Facebook page. And here's an apartment that he was in when he was killed. But how he was killed and everything is really, it's crazy. I have to check something out here because I remember printing something. Okay. All right, let's go to this, and Branton Cardelloni was murdered in his Tremont apartment 5.5 years ago. His mother is still waiting for justice. For the event organizers, Lynn Cardelloni, their rally was an attempt to corral attention back to the death of her 21-year-old son. So her mother's really active on social media trying to get going on this. But what it turns out, I was reading different documents on this that and articles, there was some PDF files, that he worked a lot of different jobs to make money to pay for school, and the art institutes aren't cheap at all. No, the internet went out? Weird. Yeah, it doesn't. My stream health is green, so I don't know what's going on for you guys, but apparently it's loading on YouTube really well. But I only have 122 viewers, and I think that's because there must be a drama show going on right now. Yay! There's about 10 of them now. Everybody watches those. God dang it. My stomach's going crazy. Right, so Brandon was a third-year student at the Cleveland Institute of Art. He studied industrial design. The Valley Forge High School graduate had 2 internships, multiple side jobs as an artist, and hauled pizza around on the weekends. He was really trying to pay his way through school, his mother said. Unfortunately, it was not all kosher, she added with a resigned laugh. Brandon was selling pot, apparently growing his own product from 3 plants. You know, so he just had like 3 plants inside his rental apartment, I guess. Police would later find in his apartment. No kingpin or don, his modest operation was enough to pay car bills, but also may have attracted unwanted attention. He did put himself in a very vulnerable position. Yes. So even if you grow a little bit of pot and you sell that pot to people that once bought the pot from an actual big dealer, well, you're in trouble right then, because they don't want you stepping in on any bit of their... What do you mean the audio's cutting out? What are you talking about? Yeah, get a better computer or something. I don't know. There's no problems at all on the stream or anything. Right. Okay. On July 26, 2011, Brandon's girlfriend found him in his second-floor apartment in Tremont. Yeah, and I actually found that. It took me a while to find the damn thing. Had to go up and down streets and so forth. But there it is. Right there. Up on the second floor, probably right up in there. And look, I mean, it looks like a pretty nice area, right? Now here's the part that gets kind of crazy up here. Found him in the second floor apartment in Tremont around 1:30 a.m. He was bound to a chair with belts and duct tape. There was a suspicious gash on his abdomen. He'd been strangled to death. He was severely beaten. So to me, this actually supports the drug, you're in our territory angle. He was severely beaten, Cardelloni says. It had to be more than one person. The police were knocking on her door before dawn that morning. A trained nurse, Cardelloni's mind immediately began churning with critical thinking, trying to grab a hold of pieces of the situation. I was on the phone every day and sometimes multiple times a day. Let's see. So there was a suspect. Cardelloni learned that police had a suspect, someone who had been communicating with Brandon up until his death. He had been texting Brandon all day. Hey, thanks, Melissa Maynard. I appreciate it. Oh, and Randy Bay, 33. Or B.
Appreciate you, Gray.
Oh, is it your birthday? Oh, that's right. It's Melissa's birthday, right? What's today? Is today Wednesday? Wasn't it Claudia's
My
birthday?
birthday, another year old, a frowning face.
Well, happy birthday. I didn't even see that one. But, that's awesome. Isn't Claudia Neubauer's today, too? Didn't she say that? Or now I'm kind of confused. And thank you, Randy. Is it Randy B or Bay? Happy birthday, Melissa Maynard. Wait, hold on. Let me do it.
Happy birthday, Melissa Maynard!
Is that good? Okay. Now she's going to have nightmares on her birthday. A chipmunk that led to the devil. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. Claudia Neubauer. So happy birthday, both of you. See, you get 30 people in a room, and it's a very good chance that 2 people have the same birthday, just not the year. Anyways, thank you very much. Oh, yeah? Well, it's Shelly's birthday tomorrow, everybody, so... Okay, so here's what... He had been texting Brandon all day, this is the suspect, trying to come over to buy some pot. She says, the very last text from that person was the last time that my son ever used his phone. The suspect, however, clammed up when approached by police. Cardelloni says other aspects and avenues of her son's case seemed to be ignored by the police at the time. When Cardelloni was finally allowed to enter her son's apartment, a neighbor approached, and this is important here, and said she'd seen several men arguing with Brandon at his apartment door. She saw them leave. She saw them come back. So she saw them leave. These 3 guys were arguing. Then they take off. Then they come back. So they probably left and say, okay, let's go back. And at his apartment door, she saw them leave. She saw them come back. Cardelloni says. The mother had to tell police about the witness. She was eventually interviewed and identified photos of suspects. The only reason that happened is because I presented the information. Another neighbor who witnessed the front door propped open was also ignored. Part of the reason for the lack of movement, the detectives working Brandon's murder were also busy with the Anthony Sowell case, which was then in trial. Cardelloni kept at it, nudging the detectives relentlessly about their progress. Yep, I mean, it is true. If you want something done, a lot of times you have to have family member and the public pressuring and bugging the police to get something done. Yeah, so it still hasn't been solved, and this case was from 2011. You'd think there'd be some kind of surveillance camera somewhere or something picking up the 3 guys that went to the apartment. Because the 3 guys that went to the apartment, if that's a real story, are the killers. Okay? It's just the odds of that not being the killer, because obviously it wasn't one person that went into his apartment, tied him to a chair, duct taped him up there and everything. Okay? It was a group of people, obviously. At least 2. And there's probably even a weapon involved. It just wasn't used to kill him. Okay, so that case has remained cold, and I'm going to move on to another one right now. Okay, I'm going to do Joseph Mullins. This guy he's 57, I believe, or was 57. So here is the cold case. Oh, hold on, let me go back. Right here, this guy right there. So that's Joseph Mullins right there. And this is a weird one. I mean, they're all weird. Let me go to the original PDF file in the newspaper, though. The Portage County Sheriff's Office and Cleveland Police are investigating the death of a Manoa Township man who was found dead 10 days after he was reported as missing. So he was reported as missing, and then they found his body 10 days later. Joseph L. Mullins, 57, had been reported missing from his home on the evening of December 19th. Portage County Sheriff David W. Doak said in a news release. Cleveland police recovered his body at about 8:20 a.m. Monday in the area of 601 Stones Levy Road in the city. The cause of death and how long Mullins had been dead when his body was found were not immediately known. An autopsy was being conducted by the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner. So that was the original article of when he was found. Now, this was actually put out when he was missing right here. The Portage County Sheriff is asking for the public's help in looking for a missing man, Joseph Mullins, 57. He was last seen 4:30 p.m. on December 19th. He was believed to be in the area of 10500 block of Infirmary Road in Montour Township. I actually have his actual address. I found him on a public database site. Mullins was seen wearing a light blue Carhartt jacket. Oh my God, he's the bridge guy. A light gray sweatshirt, blue jeans. Oh my God, jeans, everybody. With flannel lining and black tennis shoes. He is 5'6", with blonde hair and hazel eyes. Ooh, I've always said hazel eyes. Anyone with information on Mullins' whereabouts is asked to call the Portage County Sheriff's Office at 330-296-5100. Well, he was found, and he wasn't alive when they found him. Okay, and this ends up being, this is him right here. I found him on this public website, and there's the address, 10512 Infirmary Road, Mantua. So they said the 10500 block, 10,500. Well, the actual address is 10,512. All right, the body found in the flats Monday morning has been identified as a missing Portage County man. Joseph Mullins, 57, was last seen on December 19th at his house, Infirmary Road in Manoa Township. The Portage County Sheriff's Office said officers were asking for the public's assistance in locating him. His remains were found on the ground on Stones Levy Road in Cleveland, according to the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner. His death is being investigated as a suspected homicide. And here is an article. It's actually on the Ohio Attorney General's office website. Portage County Sheriff's Office responded to the Mullins residence. Okay, so I actually have this. God, poor stomach. Right here. So this is where he lived. And this is where I believe he was probably killed, in this location. So that's his home, and that right there is a separated garage, right? Let's get back to the article. Responded to the Mullins residence on during the early morning hours of 12/20/2014. Mullins' wife was reporting that she arrived home on the previous evening, Thursday, December 19th, 2014, at approximately 11:30 at night, or not 11:30, 9:30 at night. When she arrived home, she found indications that Joseph had been there but was missing. With the assistance of family friends, Mrs. Mullins attempted to contact Joseph by his cell phone, but was unsuccessful. A search of the area did not locate Joseph. Now here's the interesting part here. Listen to this. During the investigation, blood was found by the detached garage that belonged to Joseph. A blood smear was found on the bedspread in the master bedroom that also returned to Joseph. Nothing in the house appeared to be missing or disturbed. On December 29, 2014, Joseph Mullins' body was found in the Warehouse District, downtown Cleveland. His death was determined to be from blunt force trauma. Let me get back to that article. Hold on. Right there. A blood smear was found on the bedspread in the master bedroom that also returned to Joseph. Nothing in the house appeared to be missing or disturbed. On December 27, 2014, Joseph Mullins' body was found in the warehouse. His death was determined to be from blunt force trauma. Now, here's the part that wasn't in that last thing that I read. During follow-up investigations, information has been obtained indicating that Joseph's stepson, Andrew Rayson, so no blood relation, was involved in heroin trafficking, and that he did purchase his heroin in the Cleveland area. It is still unknown if this activity was related to the incident. Joseph was known to use marijuana on occasion, but was not known to be a heroin user. Yeah, so if we go back to that street view again, it's pretty weird to realize that inside this house he was probably killed, and then I imagine that the vehicle was parked, probably something similar to that right there. You know what we should try is do the old street view. Let's see. Go to googlemaps.com. Okay, so it's right there. I think that's it. See if we can do a J case vision right here. Yeah, they might. They just might. Ah, it doesn't look like it. Darn it. That's the first time they filmed there, I guess. They don't have a historical street view, but this was May 2019, just 5 months ago. So I figured there would have had to have been an old one. Let's see what they have on satellite. 18, 16. So this is December 19th, 2014. Okay, this is June 2014. So at the time of this, he's still alive. And he was found, so that's where his house is. And then I'm going to go to where he was found. He was found just on this crazy industrial 601 Stones Levy Road behind a pile of coal, they said. I mean, if they have street view here, I'll be shocked. But oh my God, they do. Look at that. And look at that. Looks like maybe those piles are still right there. I don't know. I don't know if that's coal, but 601, so it's right here. And here's some piles. And when was the street view? This is from... it doesn't have the date on it. So apparently he was just found back here behind one of these piles. Crazy, huh? That's June 2011. The street view right here. So 3 years before. All right, well, that's the case of Joseph Mullins. That's wild. I mean, he's just seems like a normal guy. Just he's at his house, and all of a sudden, all they have is a swiped bit of blood on his bed at the house. Nothing was missing at all from the house. Nothing was out of place. And then there was a little bit of blood on the ground near the garage, which was not attached to the house there. And then his body is just dumped over here. Now, could it have been a warning to perhaps his stepson, who is a drug dealer? This could happen to you. And it really keeps somebody in line. That's kind of classic, what they do in cases like that. So there you go. All right, now we're moving on to the last one. The Kathy Menendez case. And again, this is one of those ones that really isn't a lot of information. What's interesting, though, is there almost seems to be a link between Kathy Menendez here and Sara Ray, I think Bain is how you say her last name. Sara Ray Bain, of a 14-year-old old female teen, was reported missing by her parents on July 14th, 1994, to local law enforcement in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. Hey, that's where Rachel Del Tondo case is. Several months later, on November 4th, 1994, Sarah's remains were discovered in the Berlin Reservoir located within an Ohio state park. Additionally, Katherine Menendez, another female teen victim, went missing on August 25th, 1994, and her nude body was found several days later on an oil road near the Berlin Reservoir. Well, it turns out it's actually on the same little tiny road as the road that Sara was found on. She was just a mile, and she was found like a quarter of a mile or so. So that's why they think it's possible. They haven't found any evidence of it. They think that they're related because, wow, I mean, you have this one reservoir down this one little tiny road, and you have both these bodies found around in the same year. So Menendez's information is, so the incident location, an oil well road off of Town Road. And it wasn't there. That's not really that accurate, I don't think, because I wasn't able to find. You could see the lady pointing in this video that we're going to watch to a specific area, and it didn't match Town Road. But anyways, it says it there, so it's probably right. It just didn't make sense to me. So the incident date was August 20th, 1994. She was born 1977. On May 24th, probably one of you in the chat right now was born May 24th. 5'4", 124 pounds. Kathy Menendez was found nude on August 25th, 1994, on an oil well road off of Town Road in Portage County. Cathy had been strangled, stabbed, and bludgeoned to death. Her clothes had been located. She had been reported, so she was, okay. Cathy had been strangled, stabbed, bludgeoned to death. Her clothes had never been located, so she was found nude. So hopefully, if they found her soon enough, they could have still done a rape kit on her. She had been reported as a runaway on August 20th, 1994. It is believed that she had been murdered approximately 24 to 48 hours before she was discovered. Investigators believe that she was not murdered where she was found and that she was probably killed in Alliance, Ohio. Anyone with information about the murder is urged to contact the Alliance Police Department. Okay, now here is a pretty long video that was made about a year ago on this case, so we can listen and start and stop and discuss different parts.
1994, a 14-year-old girl violently killed. She disappeared from her home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, and ended up in the Berlin Lake woods 2 hours away. Her body was a few...
Let's start over.
A 14-year-old girl violently killed. She disappeared from her home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, and ended up in the Berlin Lake woods 2 hours away. Her body was a few hundred yards from the body of another teenage girl, also brutally killed. Are they connected? We'll go through the facts investigators have poured over through the years. The most important question is, can you help solve the decades-old murders of Sara Bain and Katherine Menendez?
Rochester Township, a community in Beaver County that runs along the Ohio River. A massive American flag welcomes you to town. 1994, a time before smartphones and tablets.
I think I found her home.
14-year-old Sara
even though I don't
Bain
have
lived
street
in a
view.
quiet neighborhood in the hills on Mellon Avenue. She lived with her brother and mother, who was separated from her father. Neighbors remember Sara. They remember the search.
Okay. So I was just trying to find her home. I had the avenue. So this is the avenue, and I think this is it. I mean, it looks just like it. Right here, and then even up the street is that red building that you could see on the video just before that.
They didn't want to go on camera, but...
A 14-year-old girl violently killed. She disappeared from her home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, and ended up in the Berlin Lake woods 2 hours away. Her body was a few hundred yards from the body of another teenage girl, also brutally killed. Are they connected? We'll go through the facts investigators have poured over through the years. The most important question is, can you help solve the decades-old murders of Sara Bain and Katherine Menendez?
Rochester Township, a community in Beaver County that runs along the Ohio River. a massive American flag welcomes you to town. 1994, a time before smartphones and tablets. 14-year-old Sara Bain lived in a quiet neighborhood in the hills on Mellon Avenue. She lived with her brother and mother.
Yeah, so see that building right there? So I think that's this one. And then the camera pans, and then her house is this one right here. Not that it's a huge part of the story, but...
Who was separated from her father. Neighbors remember Sara.
And you can even see there's a window on the side.
They didn't want to go on camera, but they remember her shyness.
She was quiet. She was reserved. Some people have described her as always having her head down and would never look you in the eye. Kind of a very shy, intimidating person, like easily intimidated person.
As a girl, Sara Bain walked these streets every day. This is the road that she took to get to school. This was her playground for 14 years. But at 14 years old, she walked out of that door and walked down these streets for the last time.
The night of the disappearance, when Sara walked out of the house, July 14th at 10:45 p.m.
Retired FBI agent Tom Carter has worked on Sara Bain's case since 2000. He continues to investigate it to this day. That night, Sara told her brother she was going to her friend Jennifer's house. A neighbor reported seeing her walking that night.
Whether she actually was intending to go to her friend's house, because her friend later told investigators that she wasn't welcome down there because her house was full of company. So where Sara went that night, you know, that's the disputed fact that nobody knows where she went. She was last seen here by her brother. Mom was at work.
But no one knew she was missing right away. Sara had a counseling appointment the next day. She didn't go. That's when her family realized Sara Bain was missing.
And that's when the searches started. That's when Rochester Township PD was contacted that very next day.
Rochester Township's chief of police didn't want to be part of this story. The department investigated the missing persons case for years until 1999, according to Beaver County District Attorney's Office Detective Tim Staub. That's when Rochester requested assistance from Beaver County.
After getting briefed and getting up to speed as far as the investigation went, then we got the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children involved, started a phone bank to call numerous leads across the United States. And leads had come in from virtually every state, and there are hundreds of them.
At this point, it's not a murder, it's still a missing person.
It's still a missing person. At that time, we had no idea the whereabouts of Sara Bain.
In reality, Sara Bain's badly decomposed body was found a few months after her disappearance. She was violently murdered, but that body went unidentified.
We organized large sweeps of the area involving firefighters, emergency services personnel, and we swept all these woodlands down toward the high school, around everywhere.
Police brought in cadaver dogs to search her home. They excavated the basement of the house next door, also owned by her father. Walls were brought down. The family cooperated with it all, Staub says.
Did you guys believe at this point that she was still alive?
We didn't know. We didn't know. I can recall myself receiving photographs through email and through the computer of people who looked like Sara Bain. Even with the age progression of 6 years, they still look like they could be.
But they weren't. Another retired detective who worked with Staub searched the Jane Doe network in 2000. A body was found in November 1994 near Berlin Lake. He was never identified. Detective Kim Clements, who couldn't meet us for an interview, looked into it. Investigators got DNA from Sara's mother, and it matched the unidentified remains. Sara Bain was found at last.
In a box in the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office in Cleveland, her remains. I actually remember Kim and I then going to get the remains, and then we drove the remains down
to the Washington, D.C.
This
area.
is kind of weird
The second
here.
autopsy at the
See, she was actually interviewed, and it's really kind of creepy what she was interviewed about. You guys got to check this out.
Department of Defense. A search for any marks or chips on her bones to help them determine what killed her. They found nothing.
Initial autopsy, it was manner of death was through violent homicide with unknown cause.
We made our way to Fewtown Road near Berlin Lake, the Portage County side, 2 hours away from Sara Bain's home. Somehow, some way, Sara Bain made a similar journey. Whether she was alive or dead when it happened, we don't know.
We believe that a perfectly healthy 14-year-old girl didn't walk over to Ohio or end up in this park and just died of natural causes. So obviously somebody had a hand in causing her death. How that was caused, we don't know.
In a chilling twist, Sara Bain was interviewed
Listen to
by
this.
WTAE in Pittsburgh 10 months before her disappearance. She claimed someone had tried to abduct her. This is that interview.
I was just thinking, oh God, please don't let him kill me. I just had a thought in my head I was going to be killed.
We met with the Portage County
What the
Sheriff's
hell?
Office,
That's crazy,
which
right?
responded
Come
on November 4th, 1994.
Hunters called in, advised that they... Hunter killed.
Let's do that again.
We met with the Portage County Sheriff. This is that interview.
I was just thinking, oh God, please don't let him kill me. I just had a thought in my head I was going to be killed.
We met with the Portage County
Wow.
Sheriff's Office, which responded on November 4th, 1994.
Hunters called in, advised that they had located what they believed to be a human corpse. Skeleton, basically. There was still some hair and whatnot, but it appeared
Hunters
as though she had
again,
been there
everybody.
for quite a while, at least a few months, to be in that condition.
In fact, Agent Carter tells me he believes her body ended up there not long after she disappeared. Detective Beth Hurd with Portage County showed us the area Sara was found.
She was found, this drive, this road goes all the way back. It's close to a mile. She was located at the very end of this road, actually off the roadway.
Okay. Her body was found
See,
very
look.
close to where the body of 17-year-old
Oh, crap.
Alliance girl Katherine Menendez's body was found.
There was a missing persons report filed with Alliance PD on August 23rd of '94.
Unlike Bain, the body of 17-year-old.
Yeah, see how they're pointing, where they're pointing right there? See, let me show you this. So here's the reservoir right here. And there, she's actually pointing, that road that they keep talking about is over here. This is Fewtown Road. It's on the other side of the lake. Now, I don't know if you still call it that over here. Let's see. Oh, that is. Okay, I didn't realize that. So anyways, here's Fewtown Road over here, right? And then, obviously, the road doesn't continue, but they call this road here is also Fewtown Road. So now it makes sense, that part of it. Okay, so she's actually pointing, if you look at the picture, she's pointing right here. And I think this is where that gate is. There just happens to be no street view at all. And so let's get back to that. See, look where she's pointing. Let me get that back over there just so you can. All right. So see right there. Let me try to get a better way to view that for you guys. I wonder how far back they went in time. Let's see. Yeah, so I think right here is where they're pointing at. It's just it's a different time of year, so it doesn't look quite the same. Nah, hold on. I gotta look at this again.
Year-old Alliance girl.
She was located at the very end of this road, actually off the roadway.
Okay. Her body.
Okay. So they're pointing in on there. You got, yeah, that's right. So they have it upside down. Okay, so I think you can see this in the shot that they're doing. See that? There's that curve, like a big island there, and then they're pointing on the other side. So there you go. So yes, now it makes sense. So she's pointing. So here you got that big loop with almost like an island there, and she's pointing right into that area right there. So see that? Boom, and then right in that spot.
Body was found very close to where the body of 17.
Yeah, so right in there, and then if you zoom in, she's actually talking about right in here, and she said that one of the bodies was found a quarter of a mile in, and I think that's what she's pointing at. That's what she's doing. So let's see, there's the gate, And then, yeah, right around in there is a quarter of a mile. But it appears, when we're watching this video, that both bodies were found down that same road. What are the odds of that?
18-year-old Alliance girl Katherine Menendez's body was found just months before.
There was a missing persons report filed with Alliance PD on August 23rd of '94.
Unlike Bayne, Menendez's family didn't have to wait years
She's 17,
to learn
a
their loved
17-year-old.
one was killed.
She was found out here the morning of August 25th by an oil well worker that was out checking his wells.
And it was gruesome. At the Portage County Sheriff's Office, we went over case files for Bayne and Menendez. They told us not to look at the crime scene photos. The Ohio Attorney General's website says Menendez, who went by Cathy,
I think she's standing
was
right
strangled, stabbed, and bludgeoned to death. She was days before she was found. Was strangled.
Yeah, so it looks like when you look at that picture with the lady
Stabbed.
standing there.
Website says Menendez, who went by County Sheriff's Office. We
Just a
went
second.
over case files for Bayne and Menendez. They told us not to look at the crime scene photos.
Yeah.
The Ohio Attorney General's website says Menendez, who went by Cathy, was strangled, stabbed, and bludgeoned to death. She
Now
was
they're
murdered
same
1 to 2
time.
days before she was found.
Right around the same
The AG
year.
site says she was likely killed elsewhere. Her body
What do you
dumped
mean
here.
20 years
Back
apart?
this road,
See, look. Notice how it goes straight out and then turns? That's why I think that this is the right spot. See that? Like, I actually think that right here is a gate. And, you know, right around in this area. It could be right there or right there, but you're looking down and then it turns to the left back there, okay? It just looks closer on here because of the type of lens they're using.
probably 2 to 3/10 of a mile back on the right-hand side, there's an oil well driveway.
Her clothes were never found, neither were Bayne's.
Viewtown Road runs alongside of Willow Creek. Willow Creek branches off from Berlin Lake. Viewtown Road is a dead end, but we don't know how far back it goes. As you can see, it's gated off. It's overgrown. That wasn't the case back in 1994. There was no gate, and this road was very well traveled. The Portage County Sheriff's Department tells us a lot of people went back in these woods to party and hang out. But when Bayne and Menendez's bodies were recovered, the Army Corps of Engineers made the decision to gate this road off so that no one could travel down it.
You can still walk it though, so we did. Menendez was 3 years older than Bayne. Bayne lived 2 hours away. Menendez lived in Alliance, just 10 minutes down the road.
She was a habitual runaway. She'd been reported as a runaway 17 prior times up to the day that she was located here. She ran with kind of a rowdy crowd. So there were people to investigate, talk to, try to run down where she had been, you know, since August 23rd to August 25th when she was located out here.
She was reported as a runaway, but this time, that was not the case.
Were you guys able to figure out from the day that she went missing any of the steps that she'd taken before her body was found?
So she was
Not
found down
really.
that same road. What are the odds
Just
of
like
that?
she
Come
kind
on.
of disappeared in the afternoon on the 23rd in Alliance and couldn't really put anybody with her.
Like Bayne, Menendez's killer has never been found.
We still have some.
See, I think Menendez has a good chance of being solved, but not Bayne, unless it's the same killer. I mean, just miraculously. Because Menendez was found when her body was still, it was, you know, if I want to say fresh, you know, I'm just saying, was it within, it was a short period of time, where Bayne was found when she was skeleton. Or, well, she was found, but she was put into like a box or something. So I don't know if they have, she was highly decomposed, so I don't know. She was found back in '94, though, just months after, and she wasn't, so I don't know if there's any DNA to collect at that point.
Ideas, and they're not exhausted yet. We've actually interviewed people in the last couple years on this case, so I mean it's not an inactive case.
Because Bayne's case crossed state lines, the FBI and Agent Carter were brought in 2000 when it was realized the unidentified body might belong to Bayne. So the Portage County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and the Beaver County District Attorney's detectives were all working on these cases. 2 teenage girls murdered and dumped. Agent Carter thinks Bayne's body was already here when Menendez was found.
The crime scenes were similar, if that's what you're asking. I mean, the crime scenes, because there's no clothing found at either scene.
So Menendez was found and her body was already there.
It depends on who you ask.
Connection.
Do you feel like it's too much of a coincidence that there wouldn't be?
I think that you have 2 teenage girls found in a remote rural park in Ohio. The chances of them not being related somehow, some way, would be difficult to explain not. I believe that they probably are somehow related, but the 2 backgrounds of the 2 girls are completely different. I mean, we have no relation to Ohio from Sara Bain here whatsoever.
Yeah, so serial
so
killer.
How a 14-year-old girl got from Beaver County, Ohio to
traveling
rural,
around,
from Beaver County, Pennsylvania to
preying
rural
on the
Ohio,
weak.
nobody knows.
Have you guys found any type of link that would connect them?
No.
Or their deaths?
No.
Do you think there may be one?
As far as we've looked everything over the years, we cannot find a link between the 2.
Agent
Other
Carter
than the
believes the
location.
answer lies somewhere near Berlin Lake and Fewtown Road. It's an area frequented by hunters and fishermen.
It's a rural park out in the middle of rural Ohio. I mean, I believe that you have to know that park.
This is the
if
park
you're
right
from that
here.
area, you probably know
This
that
area.
park. But if you're not from that area,
Right
you're probably
there.
not very familiar with that park.
Without a factual connection, the murders of Menendez and Bayne are treated as parallel investigations.
The FBI had actually put up the billboard on 62, Route 62, in reference to both girls, you know. Does anybody have any information?
A reward of $5,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction is active to this day. Let's head back to Rochester Township.
We made a stop in Sylvania Hills Cemetery, where rows and rows of loved ones are buried.
Bayne's body was finally positively identified in 2003, and this is where she rests. A small red felt heart sits inside a capsule at her gravesite.
I have no idea who put it here, but I never disturb it. I look at it and put it back.
Agent Carter makes his way here every now and then.
Right now, we examine a 24-year-old
Oh yeah, why does it
murder.
cut off right there?
Inside were the thoughts of a young teen.
Don't try to find me, you know,
Hold on.
which was not the family member's prints.
There are some
Envelope to whoever cared.
found it.
This
So
is
look around
interesting
and think
here.
about the case and what he still needs to find.
Justice for Sara. We're standing here at her grave. I mean, justice. Sara Bain deserves justice. I mean, whoever killed her deserves to pay for what they did.
In 2011, a new bit of very important evidence was released to the public. A note. One that was found just after Sara Bain disappeared. Family members found it July 17th, 1994, 3 days after she was last seen.
Well, let's pause this thing.
Her
and
grave.
read
I
it.
mean, justice. Sara Bain deserves justice. I mean, whoever killed her deserves to pay for what they did.
And my mother went crazy, forgot about me. This left me vulnerable. I met a guy who gave me love and something else I was not getting. Gave me love and everything else that I wasn't getting at home. A very, very abusive man. Didn't something wonderful. I always had inquired, said I fell. Anyways, I was never enough. So I quit eating. That's why I was passing out.
In 2011, a new bit of very important evidence was released to the public. A note.
Let's see. Wonderful. Okay, there's that part. But again, everybody couldn't see that I've learned to live on my own. I'm very independent. I did what I had to do to live. Now I'll really be on my own. Don't worry, I'll something. Let's see.
One that was found just after Sara Bain disappeared. Family members found it July 17th, 1994.
I met a guy. Okay, this is up at the top. Everything over. I'm just a burden. I create problems. You don't have the time and that you don't care. I've been forced to grow up. I've always, in ways you don't really realize. When my brother and my mother went crazy, everybody forgot about me. This left me vulnerable. I met a guy who gave me love and...
3 days after she was last seen.
Under her neatly made bed, under her pillow, in an envelope, to whoever cares on top of it, and it said...
So after she went missing, that's probably why at first they probably just said, she's running away. She left that note underneath her pillow. At least the note was left under her pillow, okay? But who knows, I guess they think that they don't even know who actually wrote that letter.
It's a two-page piece, two pages of piece of paper with her writing that we confirmed was her writing.
Okay, so it is her
A copy
writing.
was given to the Rochester police. Her mother kept the original. When Beaver County and the FBI got involved, they got the original.
It had 5 set of fingerprints on it, which are unknown to this day whose prints are on it.
They know who those prints don't belong to.
We ran the fingerprints for elimination for the family members, which was not the family members' prints.
There are some abnormalities about the note.
2 different inks, 2 different types of paper. What do you guys draw? What conclusion do you guys draw from that?
I'm not sure. I mean, Sara could have placed that together under her pillow, or someone else could have placed that together under her pillow. We're not sure how it got under the pillow. We don't know.
The note wasn't addressed to anyone. Inside were the thoughts of a young teen.
Don't try to find me. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. It's not your fault. Maybe I'll be a cardiologist or a musician. She talks about an older boyfriend. To this day, that older boyfriend's never been identified.
That older boyfriend, Bain wrote, was abusive.
To this day, I've never been able to answer the very simple question about the note. Who was she writing it to? I don't know that. I mean, if that was a note, then who was it directed to? If you read the note, I've had people look at it. I had psychologists look at it. I've had forensic psychologists look at it. And you ask yourself, who was this 14-year-old girl writing this note to? I don't know.
It almost seems like young Sara Bain was writing in a journal. Agent Carter says it's possible that the 2 pages that did not lead into each other are from a journal.
And I think there's a possibility. Some of the friends that I've interviewed, or at least one friend that I interviewed, told me that she did keep a journal. That journal's never been found.
If Sara didn't put that note there herself, someone else did.
Maybe somebody out there knows.
There's the matter of Sara's personality. A quiet, shy girl with few friends. Remember, neighbors say she didn't look anyone in the eye and wasn't outgoing.
Did you ever believe that there were any facets of her personality or things that led her to behave that way, or trauma that she had maybe experienced?
I went to Children's Hospital and talked to a children's psychologist and presented those facts, what you just described, to them, and they concluded, without having obviously been able to interview Sara Bain, that she did exhibit some traits of possibly being molested.
The investigation continues progressing. Agent Carter worked with Detective Kim Clements as partners.
We worked it jointly. I mean, we went to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We presented both cases to the Behavioral Science Unit at FBI together.
New investigators looking for clues or a connection between Bain and Menendez. Not as much like Criminal Minds as you might think. Carter says they presented at a roundtable discussion.
That was 2010, 2011.
What did they say?
What did they say? We presented the case. They gave some leads. We followed the leads, and here we are today.
But through that effort, they found money to reinvestigate the crime scenes back off Viewtown Road, where both girls were found, 21 years later.
We went back in 2015. We brought the evidence response team from Pittsburgh FBI and the evidence response team from Cleveland FBI to basically go back and redo both crime scenes of Sara Bain and Katherine Menendez.
They were looking for any remnants of evidence that may be left. They found a few things, but nothing to help the cases. Through the years, while Agent Carter and Beaver County detectives kept working on Bain's case and looking into a possible connection with Menendez, Detective Hurd focused on Menendez.
Yeah, this is a really good story. None of this stuff can be found out there. Like, there's no newspaper articles. There's nothing on any of the stuff that's in here.
Hey, well, it's still open. We still have, you know, a couple leads.
So good job,
that we have been
WKBN
following
27.
up with. It's just a matter of, you know, somebody coming forward or somebody finally breaking down and confessing to it, really. So.
Do you think there are those people out there in this area who know what happened to her?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that at least more than one person knows what's happened to her. But people want to protect people. People don't like to be, you know, the guy that came forward, so.
The snitch.
Sometimes you get some leverage.
I'm not going to stand here and say it's another case, because it's not. It's not another case.
Agencies hours apart continue looking for justice for these young girls.
The case also involves possibly involves a kidnapping, it involves something, could involve a serial killer.
Have there been any other links or any similarities to any other murders outside of these two that would lead you to believe that it was the work of a serial killer?
Well, there are. When you look through there are people.
We've talked about many that sound like
You
this.
could say possibly, but again, it's so broad. I'm not. I wish I could narrow it down. We've been trying to narrow this case down for 20 years, and it's just one of these cases that it kind of defies being narrowed down at this point.
For Agent Carter, this case in some ways defines his current professional path. He retired from the FBI in April after 27 years.
I think anytime a young girl goes missing or is found dead, you know, you can't not feel somehow obviously emotionally attached and bad for that family and bad for the child itself.
But he didn't retire altogether. He's now a detective with the Allegheny County DA's office.
This case has gotten under my skin. I mean, it affects me. Like I think about it all the time. I mean, it would be nice personally.
See, that's
to
what you
close
want.
This case.
Like this
His
is
bosses and
that
the
other
Beaver
case didn't
County
have a guy
DA
like
allow him
that.
to continue to work on solving Bame's murder.
Is it primarily because you want to continue investigating this case?
That's a big reason why. Yes. Yeah. I mean, this case is to say it gets under an investigator's skin. I mean, we all have that one case that we wish we could solve.
He rereads
Well,
old
it has been. There's been a lot of
brainstorm
time.
what he wants
Triple
to
G.
re-examine.
It's still
94
actively being looked
okay.
at.
This isn't yesterday.
I'm not going to stand here and say, you know, we're this close. I mean, we're asking for the public's help. Any little bit would be helpful. We don't take any lead lightly. If you call in, I'll guarantee you that I will look into it.
He says Bame's disappearance and eventual murder cases have been covered extensively in the Pittsburgh media market, but not so much in Ohio. He thinks that's where the answer may lie.
What I really need is new leads from this interview.
He also hopes for someone to step forward who knows more.
Are there people that you've talked with that you feel like know more than they'll tell you?
Are there people that I talk with that know more? Yes, I do believe that. And for whatever reason, you know, personal reasons, they don't want to talk to us. If that's the case, then I would ask them to call back in and talk.
He wants new information, new tips, a new lead. People may have their memory jogged. Something may pop into your head that you might think is inconsequential.
Somebody killed a 14-year-old little girl and possibly a 17-year-old little girl over in Ohio. So if you know anything out there, then please call in.
Justice for Sara Bain and Katherine Menendez. The number for the Pittsburgh FBI is on your screen. It's also going to be posted in the web article for this story. If you have information or a lead for investigators to look into for either case, please give them a call. For WKBN 27 First News, I'm Bandy Noel.
Yep. Well, first of all, great coverage there. I mean, normally you get a 5-minute piece on these kind of cases, and this one was in the 20 minutes. So good job. So the Pittsburgh FBI is 412-432-4000. Let's see, this part down here, it says, let's just go back over this one. Back in 1994, Bame's body was found just a stone's throw away from another teenage girl. So they were both found on that same road. I think they almost have to be connected. Especially, it wasn't like they were 10 years apart either. It was the same year. Now, Menendez, her body was found, but at the time her body was found, Bame's body was in the ground, or on the ground near there. And then they found her body later in the year, and then they didn't know who it was, so they stored the body for years, and then I think 9 years later, they actually ID'd the body because one of the detectives was going through some Jane Doe or missing persons or unidentified person information and came across that one, and they tested it, and it matched the mother, so they were able to identify Bayne. But back in 1994, Bayne's body was found just a stone's throw away from another teenage girl's body, 17-year-old Katherine Menendez of Alliance. Menendez went missing in August, and her body was found 3 days later, a few hundred yards from where Bayne's would be found in November. So isn't that crazy? Just a few hundred yards from where Bayne's found. So this guy just had a place where he dumped bodies. I think this could very well be a serial killer that actually preyed on sort of vulnerable girls. You know, a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and he just drove around and found them. And then, like other serial killers, they have a spot where they dump bodies. And it feels like that's what we have here. Now, I guess it could be somebody an abusive guy that killed both of his two girlfriends, guys that that's just total crap, okay? I think the 300 yards apart in a remote area on a specific little road that they actually barricaded since then, just the odds of those being unrelated are so small. Yeah, so Menendez was stabbed, strangled, and bludgeoned. That's the 17-year-old. She was dumped with no clothes on. So, obviously, if they found her quick enough, they should be able to have some DNA from that. Investigators believe she was killed somewhere else and dumped in the woods. They also believe Bayne's body was already there when Menendez was found, though the hunters wouldn't discover it for 2.5 months. So they were there really close to the same time as when they were dumped. Investigators don't have solid links between the two murders and haven't been able to figure out how two teens living 2 hours apart were killed and dumped beside each other within weeks of each other. A traveling serial killer just has a base. So I think the location their bodies were dumped, though, is an it might lead to a geographical profile of where he lives. Because this is a guy that seems like he fans out and then he has a place that he dumps the body, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he lived somewhere within a 10-mile radius of that reservoir. And after the first body was found, which happens to be Menendez, he changed locations where he would dump bodies. I think he was using that one and he was like, oh crap. And then both eventually were found, even in the same year. Yeah, well, they said like 2 hours. I can do one of them for sure. Bayne. Alright, so Bayne, right over there. That's about 50 miles, 60 miles. Driving. Alright, let me get back to that. Because of the complexity of this case, the documentary in the video above was put together with every piece of information on the cases. We look into both girls. Yeah, so it was just a great job. The police, hopefully, I put the link in the description. You guys can check it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't mind getting this information out there. All right, it's an interesting case because it seems to me that those two are related. And the other cases we discussed, there could be some relations too, because the other two the teacher and the student were both found in the same parking lot of a mall. They're just not related to this case. It's weird. And see, whenever you get unsolved cases that go a long time, you start thinking, it seems like normally when you have a case, when somebody gets murdered, and it's a family member or a friend or somebody that did, you know, those get solved relatively quickly most of the time. But when you have cold cases that are unsolved, a lot of times you start getting the feeling of sort of like a serial killer or something like that, because that's what they do. They don't want to be caught. They want to keep doing what they're doing. And then you start finding the connections between them. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but it seems like that's when you start making the connections. I don't know if that made any sense. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's it for the Ohio. There's a whole bunch more in Ohio, by the way, so I'll be definitely going back for round number 2, but this is I think the fourth or fifth state in the series so far of unsolved cases in various states. All right, so I'll be adding this to the playlist coming up soon. All right, sorry for those of you who had lagging computers and so forth and audio. That sucks. All right, so I hope you guys appreciated the show and got something out of it. That's my goal, is you never know who's out there that might actually see something that makes sense to them. Well, let's see. Well, none of them are in their beds or anything like that. They're just kind of ding 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 ding. I'll go get Chloe really quick. Hold on.
Right now, we examine a 24-year-old murder, 2 of them actually, from 1994. A 14-year-old girl violently killed. She disappeared from her home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, and ended up in the Berlin Lake woods 2 hours away. Her body was a few hundred yards from the body of another teenage girl, also brutally killed. Are they connected? We'll go through the facts investigators
now she's in the one below.
Through the years. The most important question is,
anyways, yeah. I mean, Chloe's just like this crazy. Well, she's really cute because when she runs around, she doesn't. She falls all over the place. Come here, Blue. Come here. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. She's really clumsy. Come on, Blue. And there's Blue, huh? Yeah, Blue's feeling left out. Come on, Blue. How dare you? How dare you pet the other dog? Oh, Gray, you're so mean. Right, Blue? His tail is waggling now, all right? That's right. Blue's the OG, right, everybody? Come on. He's the OG. Oh, and thank you, Katya, up there. Yeah, Blue's the boss. But he's getting used to her a little bit. Right, Blue? There you go. Now you like that. You gonna fall asleep on me right there, Blue? I could see it. I could see it. All right, here we go. Look at Chloe up there. My God, they're just lazy bums, both of them. You know. All right, everybody. I'm not going to do the flyby or anything. I'm just going to make it. These are different videos, the series that I'm doing on the different states. And I won't be doing the outro to avoid the error that I had yesterday where I hit the outro and then I think, oh, the show's over, and then I forget to actually hit the end stream button. All right? So anyways, thank you guys very much. And I don't even know if I have the... Oh, there it is. Hold on. Thank you to Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal, Karen K, Kit Kat, Renee Folk, Linda Howell, not to be confused with Linda Moldenhow, the cattle mutilation UFO expert, Cairo, and then Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal again, freeing me from jail, which I was already out of, but I appreciate it. And then Sarah Endipity saying Cheryl Coker still matters. Yes, it does. I haven't seen anything new on it. And then Melissa Maynard, Randy B, and then Katya. So thank you guys very much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. It takes me a long time to put this stuff together for the shows. A few hours, So, and I hope you guys appreciate the show. All right? That's it. I know it's not drama. We could try to work that in at some point, but I'm just not interested in doing that. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight. And as I always say, until next time,